Hey there, SNDL traders and investors. It's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Today is Wednesday. Happy hump day. It's April 30th, last day of the month, and it's SNDL earnings eve. We're going to do an earnings prep video. This is going to be for Q1 2025. We'll discuss all of that and more. I'll give my thoughts and opinions. We'll go over the analyst estimates, and we'll get a consensus on Wall Street on what to expect in terms of numbers, specifically the revenue and the earnings per share, as we normally do in these earnings prep videos. And then at the end, we'll look at the chart. I'll give my thoughts and opinions on the technicals and the price action and what to expect there in the days, weeks, months ahead. But as always, it's not financial advice. It's for entertainment purposes only. And full disclosure, I do own SNDL in my portfolio and never buy or sell anything based on anything that I say or write. Before we get to it, make sure to smash the like, subscribe, tick the bell, all that good stuff. You'll be notified on any future videos. And you can follow us over on X as well, formerly Twitter. Handle for that is @GroupPow. I'm going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. So SNDL set to announce first quarter 2025 financial results on May 1st, and that's going to be before the market opens. And then we had Microsoft and Meta earnings today. They were up big after hours. SPY was a daily bull flag, so that bodes well for SNDL bulls. If we can see a decent earnings report tomorrow, we should ride off the coattails of those tailwinds into tomorrow. And then after market tomorrow, we have big tech earnings continuing with Amazon and Apple. So it's earnings season is upon us once again, and they're going to be hosting a conference call as well. That's going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Mountain Time. If you'd like to see this live stream tomorrow, please let me know. I'll do my best to make that happen, but just let me know in the comment section if that's something that you would like me to do. It's usually something that I try to do for the big major companies. SNDL, I would say, should garner enough attention, but I'll let everybody be the judge of that. Let me know in the comment section below. So we'll go over the analyst estimates. If we go and check investment.com, you can see here it's 204.09 million, and EPS still forecasting negative at negative 0.032. And if we take a look at TradingView, this is in USD, so 149.09 and negative 0.058. I just went to xe.com and did the currency exchange and got as accurate of a number as I could. And then over on Moomoo, based on revenue, this is just on one analyst, they're forecasting 214.6 million and EPS still at negative 0.08. So again, still expecting negative. So I went ahead and added all of those up, and we'll divide them and get a consensus. So the analyst estimates and consensus for revenue is 208.12 million. So we'll see how close they come to that number tomorrow. If it's a big miss, if it comes in at 190, probably going to see the stock drop. And then, we'll see how the S&P 500 holds up the broader market. And then negative 0.065 is expected for earnings per share. So again, if they have a huge beat, and if it comes in at 0 point plus, it comes in at +1 or something like that, +1 penny, that would be a huge beat, right? But this is still forecasting negative 0.065. It comes in at negative 0.2 again, something like it did last quarter. If I bring up last quarter's results, I think it was quarter, negative 0.255. So if that ends up happening again, stock could be down as a result. But overall, the sector caught a bid today. I posted a video earlier that the title was "Why Are MJ Stocks Up?" DEA pick Terry Cole says MJ rescheduling is one of his top priorities if he takes office, and he's Trump's pick to lead the DEA. So that was a nice headline today, and we're seeing some momentum. There's also multiple bills going through the U.S. right now. We got the Prepare Act, States Act, and Trump quietly. There was an anonymous staffer, Senate staffer, saying that he's been lobbying, reaching out, urging Congress, men and women, to pass safer banking. So it's all lining up here for a massive rally. It's just going to take a little bit longer. And again, I've been saying for a while now that once big tech, crypto, AI tops out, then we should see MJ become a huge beneficiary of that rotation. But as of right now, we're still seeing market breadth opening up. M2 money supply is increasing, and we're just seeing risk on appetite return to the stock market, to crypto. And I think that's going to bode well for MJ stocks, right? Because they're very, very high risk. So if we get that small cap to medium cap names and companies that start to benefit, think of altcoins, things like that, that's just going to bring even more interest into the MJ space, in my opinion. And then couple that with a few catalysts, then giddy up. We also have a new leader. We have new leadership and a new administration here in Canada. It's still the Liberals, but it's under Mark Carney now. And yeah, we'll see what happens there. There's potential, in my opinion, that we could see some excise tax reform. Just posted a video on that as well. The MJ Council of Canada calls for immediate action as well, and to combat the illicit market. So we have a lot of catalysts ahead of us. It's not even funny. Also going to be interested to see if they give any insight into the numbers and how this has been. SNDL launched Rise Rewards, their loyalty program, and that started on April 22nd. And it's at Value Buds locations in Alberta, Ontario, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. And it gives customers exclusive member pricing and a simple point system to earn points with every visit. So it's a little bit different than, say, a High Tide, where they come in, you come into the store High Tide, you essentially give them your information, your phone number, your name, they sign you up, and then you get it's free and you get access to member only pricing. Then they have the elite membership, which is kind of like a Costco membership essentially, where you pay $30, what I got mine for. It was on sale for like 26 the other day, and sometimes I think it's normally around 50 or 60 bucks a year. And what happens is you get access to even more discounted pricing and elite only member products. So you can't get them unless you're on that elite membership, certain products, right? So it is quite different than that. But speaking of High Tide, SNDL acquires minority stake in Canadian MJ rival High Tide. And we know that there hasn't been any, like, we know CEO Raj Grover said they're going to be following it closely, but they've been fairly kind of they haven't been hostile, I guess. They've just been very, this is a high level overview, I guess. There hasn't really been any major details leaked, whether or not there's some sort of ulterior motive. We don't know yet, but I mean, one would think so. I think there's still going to be a lot of consolidation in the space. It very well could happen where these two companies end up being one. Anything is possible, but so far, SNDL's interest in High Tide is not. It's not to be taken as they're trying to do a takeover of the company, at least so far. So we'll see what happens. Never say never, especially in the finance world. But they also reported that they had approximately 6.8 million in retail sales during 420 long weekend. So we'll see what SNDL. Obviously, it's not going to be on this report here. But they might mention on the call. I don't think they've mentioned it yet. Haven't seen it on any of their socials or anything, but they might give us some insight into what their 420 sales were. If we're seeing that massive amount of sales from High Tide, you can expect that SNDL was something similar. But this is going to be for the period ending March 31st, 2025. So you won't see those on this report, but it'll be on the next one. But it'd be cool if we get some insight into that. Maybe an analyst question if they don't mention it. And yeah, I recently just interviewed CEO Tilray, CEO Irwin Simon. So I'd love to have Zach George on the podcast at some point soon. I've already spoken to Raj. I've been looking to bring him on, and he said we will make something happen at some point soon. I've already interviewed Oxley and Decibel CEO. I've interviewed a ton of CEOs, Canara Biotech CFO, which I'm going to do a video on that in a moment. But if you want to see another interview of SNDL and Zach George, let me know. And, by all means, always reach out to their investor relations. You can always go to SNDL's website, fill out the contact form, and send it to media inquiries or investor relations and let them know that you want to see an interview. And I'll reach out on all of the social platforms as well. All right, so we'll jump into the chart. We did have a weekly bear flag that confirmed. So we had our high, our lower high was a very weak bounce. Anything under 167 was a potential weekly bear flag. And that got as high as 164. So we were stuck under that key resistance. Once we came down and we lost key support there at 148, that confirmed the weekly bear flag. And then you just take your measured move there from the high to the low, move it out to your 0.32 fib. And it was saying $1.25 was the target, and we hit $1.26. So you literally can't make this stuff up. We just hit weekly oversold as well. So again, if you know nothing about charts and you just put in your RSI indicator, it just gives you a metric to evaluate whether or not a stock or a crypto or an asset is overbought or oversold. So anything in that 70 and above range is considered overbought. Anything down here around 30 and below is considered oversold. And you can see here we actually printed 30. So we were right on the money, oversold, and we're starting to flip that moving average now, where we could start to trend back to the upside in a big way. In my opinion, we already had the EMA 12 and 26 bear cross out of the way here as well. So there was a lot of confluence. Confluence just means that multiple charts, multiple chart patterns, signals, indicators, all singing the same tune. We had an EMA 12 and 26 bear cross. We confirmed a weekly downtrend, and then we had a weekly bear flag. So all the conditions were there to expect more downside. Whole sector was still bearish, and we were heading towards weekly oversold. So if you started to add there close to 30 when the RSI was at 30, you would have nailed the weekly oversold bounce, and you would be up almost 25% there off of the lows. Now we could see an EMA 12 and 26 bull cross over the next few weeks. I would say it's going to be at least 3 weeks before we see that happen. And we're still in a weekly downtrend. So we have our bear flag target being met, and that's why I like these bear flags as well, because if you're wondering, like, if you're looking for a quick trade or you're looking for entries long term, it can be used in so many different ways. If you're looking for a quick flip, or if you're looking for like a 3 or 4 week swing, well, you said, okay, well, we have a weekly bear flag target and it says $1.25. Maybe I'll start to enter around $1.30 and start to scale in, maybe $1.30, $1.25, $1.20, set my stop at, just under $1 or $1.09, something like that. And essentially, you get a cost basis of, say, $1.25. You risk about 5 to 10%, and you'd already be up 25%. And this might not be the top either. We could see a lot more upside from here, in my opinion. But what could also happen is we'll probably top out on the weekly here. We do have key resistance coming up at 164. So once we do top out, we'll see if bulls can form a higher low and then a higher high to be in a weekly uptrend, because we're still in a weekly downtrend. And this could even be an inverse head and shoulders that could be forming here on the weekly time frame. Again, it's pretty early still, so we won't call anything just yet. But if we do top out at that level there, that 164, that would be a neckline resistance. And then if we form a weekly higher low for that weekly trend change and higher low and higher high, that would be the right shoulder. So we'll be monitoring that here for a long-term bottom to be set. If we take a look at the weekly time frame here as well, you can see that the MACD and the stochastic are bullish, and we're set to potentially close over this 10-week moving average. It's at 148. So if we can get 2, preferably 3 candle closes over that, you can see here we were above it, confirmed it as resistance, got above it, failed, resistance, resistance, didn't close. The last time we closed 3 candles over that, yeah, we didn't close a single. Actually, no, back here, these were, that was pretty close. But here, as you can see, another fake out. But yeah, it was way back. And let me just get this inspect tool. It was way back, like almost a year ago. So you can see it's just been a clear brick wall. And this is a great sign, in my opinion, especially with all these catalysts that are lining up. And we'll see if we can get, excise tax reform in Canada at some point. It's probably not going to happen anytime soon, maybe over the next year or two. You never know, though. And we might see the Canadian budget out, the 2025 budget as well. I think there's been a delay on that because of the elections, which just occurred on the 28th on Monday. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, it's looking pretty good here on the weekly time frame. In terms of our weekly moving averages, we're still well below all of those. The next nearby one is at 175. That is the 100 weekly. And then in terms of the daily moving averages, we're topping out right now at the 50-day moving average, which is at $1.50. So if we can get back up to that 100, that'd be around $1.66, and the 200 would be at $1.86. We had a death cross as well. That occurred back in December and into January. And you can see here we've seen tons of downside as a result. And the 50-day is above the 200-day moving average, and they cross. That's called a death cross on the daily time frame. And it's a very bearish indicator, right? And then same thing here. When we have the 50-day moving average below the 200 and they cross, if they were to cross over the next, I would say it's going to be at least three or 4 weeks before that would happen, based on how far away we are. That would be called a golden cross and a bull cross, and we would expect tons of upside, right? The complete opposite. So I would say it's going to be at least another month or so, and that makes a lot of sense. You got big tech earnings right now. Meta, Microsoft were flying after hours, and we've got Apple and Amazon tomorrow after hours as well. So all eyes will be on SNDL going into tomorrow, and then big tech earnings after hours. But like I said, SPY was looking good here today. Confirmed a daily bull flag, and it's got a target of 586 on SPY ETF. So that should be some nice tailwinds. We'll see if SNDL can impressed with their numbers as well. But going in it there, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. We'll continue the conversation there. It's Rod with Pow Group. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth, and we'll catch you on the next video.